Join us on the Bucket and Hoosier Show, the podcast that's all about community and competitive Rocket League.
If you're new to Rocket League, it's a high-flying, fast-paced game that combines soccer with rocket-powered cars. It's a game that's easy to pick up, but difficult to master.
And that's where our guests come in. We're talking about the best of the best in the Rocket League community to learn about their journeys, strategies, and tips for success.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, we've got something for everyone. So sit back, relax, and join us as we explore the exciting world of competitive Rocket League.
Join us live Monday evenings at twitch.tv/Bucket and Hoosier and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts to catch past episodes. Be sure to hit the follow and notification button so you know when new content has been posted.
What's up, gamers? Are you tired of reaching for those greasy, unhealthy snacks while you're in the heat of battle? Well, it's time to level up your snacking game with Savage Snacks Protein Bites. Made with simple, natural ingredients that are non-GMO and gluten-free. These protein bites are not only delicious, but they also fuel your body and mind for those marathon gaming sessions. Whether you're raiding dungeons, battling it out on the battlefield, or conquering galaxies, these protein bites will keep you at the top of your game and give you that added boost to keep your gaming session going strong. So, why settle for anything less? Fuel your next gaming experience with Savage Snacks. Head over to savagesnacks.co/Bucket and Hoosier to check out our full list of snacks and get free shipping on your next order. Savage Snacks. Be full, stay hungry.
Welcome back to another edition of the Bucket and Hoosier Show. Today we're going to recap EU Open Qualifier 4, NA Qualifier 5 that's coming up this weekend, and then we'll touch on what's going on in the SSA region, as well as some interesting information that came out from Rizzo's stream just a couple of days ago, and him talking about orgs and the Esports World Cup. But right now, let's get right into it. First up, we had an exciting finish to the EU Qualifier 4. The Swiss round stuck to the script with Karmine Corp going 3-0 with a notable win over the major champs, Gentlemates, beating them 3-1. BDS also 3-0 their Swiss bracket, taking down Vitality 3-1 after losing the first game of the match. The remaining top 8 included Vitality, Gentlemates, Luna Galaxy, Jobless, Resolve, and Oxygen Esports. Then it was off to the playoff bracket. Gentlemates and Vitality made it through their matchups with ease, both winning 3-1 in their series. But it was GreyBeard Resolve. God, that name is hard to say. GreyBeard Resolve taking down BDS and Oxygen taking down Karmine Corp that surprised the tournament. BDS was able to push the series to Game 7 after Resolve went up 3-0. And then we saw BDS take charge and win the next 3 games, but came up just short in Game 7, losing by 1. So again, we see BDS out and Karmine Corp go out early, which is pretty big implications on the point system there for the overall rankings. I had alluded to it, but here it is. Karmine Corp and Oxygen was a tough battle at first, with each team trading one goal wins through the first 4 games. Even with Karmine Corp taking a timeout after Game 5, they were just not able to find a way to keep the series going, and Oxygen closed it out in overtime of Game 6, scoring the only goal of that match. So kudos to Oxygen. They're looking really good, but looks like Karmine Corp has a little bit of... they got to bounce back a little bit. They're kind of struggling after the major. This set up an interesting semifinals bracket of Oxygen versus Gentlemates and Resolve versus Vitality. In the first match, we saw a hard-fought 7-game series that started with Oxygen taking a 2-0 lead, followed by Gentlemates taking an early timeout in the series. In Game 3, it was a nail-biter as neither team scored in regulation, and we saw a 5-minute overtime that ended with Gentlemates scoring to take the first win of the series. Their first win of the series. Oxygen battled back in Game 4, winning 4-2 in dominant fashion, and at this point, Gentlemates' backs were against the wall. Down 3-1, it was time to see if the major champs could pull it off, and boy, did they. They finished out the rest of the series to take it 4-3 and only allowing 2 goals in the last 3 games. Wish the same could be said for Resolve versus Vitality, but it just wasn't. Vitality win the series handedly 4-0, only allowing 2 goals in the series. We would see Vitality continue their dominance in the finals, beating Gentlemates 4-1 and only allowing 3 goals the entire series while putting in 8 goals themselves. Winning the major brings Vitality within 9 points of overall first place. Gentlemates still sits in second behind Karmine Corp by 2 points. So Karmine Corp still on top right now, but the margin is getting very close as we move forward into Open Regional 5 for EU. Coming up this weekend, we have NA Open Qualifier 5. Genji looks to build upon the last Open Qualifier, hoping to make it 2 wins in a row for themselves and overtaking the number 1 seed from G2. Luminosity is sitting in the overall number 3 spot, and they hope to bounce back from their disappointing result last Open Qualifier, and games kick off this Friday. That has been your rundown of what went on this past weekend. So a lot of good Rocket League, but we still have many more matches to go before we get to the next major. So hopefully it goes well from there. In other news, in the SSA region, there's been a lot of talk going on with the EU players moving into the region and actually really taking over. And GreyBeard had some comments to say, and we'll go play that for you right now.
My feelings and thinking around SSA hosting the EU B League have shifted and evolved several times since the start of the season. A goal for this region should be an SSA team making top 4 to land by 2029, 5 years from now. As a small isolated region, this is terribly ambitious, and if there is any hope, we have to accelerate our learning and our skill quickly. Currently, the very best and most dominant team in the region by some distance is being smashed 0-9 at LAN. Any EU teams playing in SSA are going to suffer the same fate if they make a LAN. Yet, the vast majority of our teams struggle to beat the EU B string who are playing on 180 ping. We've got to move beyond being a one-team region. Our top 6 need to be good enough to consistently clear EU's B teams. And we're too small a player base to figure this out by ourselves. So, while we work to grow our player base through school and community programs, having EU players here is good for us, if their presence is structured in a way that benefits the local base. Having an all-EU roster going to LAN representing SSA makes no sense. A 2/3 rule will help us. If the goal of Region Unlock was to improve the region, this makes the most sense. Far smarter and far more influential people than me have already made this point. I'm adding my voice to that chorus. This region needs to be allowed to improve to the point where we are globally competitive. Simply allowing the region to become the retirement village for EU players not good enough for EU does not help the game. It does not help the region. An all-EU team making LAN is uninteresting. No one cares about that narrative. However, better players teaming up with local rising stars who then achieve greatness is a wonderful story. It's an interesting story. It's a story which attracts emotional investment. We win, Rocket League wins, RLCS wins. 2/3 for 2025.
So, he's kind of just asking for the rule change, right? I don't know if you got to hear all of that, Bucket, but he's asking for a rule change that 2/3 of the roster should be SSA. So you can have an EU player to help build the region, but they're asking that the rule get changed. It seems like the right move if you're trying to build up that region and improve the gameplay instead of just having EU players come in on 150 ping and be able to beat SSA players. I'm still confused on how they're able to do that. Like, that ping would be ridiculous. I mean, playing on like 80 ping is already bad enough.
Great job with the rundown, by the way, of the EU qualifier. That was awesome. Then to SSA and your points, I thought 2 things were in play here. You don't have to reside in that region.
No, you do not.
I thought there was discussions about that at one time. Am I crazy?
Last year, that was a discussion when they came into this season and they came out with all the rules. You do not have to reside in the region to play anymore.
Gotcha. I don't know why. I thought that was all squashed. and we didn't have to deal with it. And then I saw the same stuff from GreyBeard. Whoever doesn't know, we've had him on the show. He's been on lots of other podcasts. He has his own podcast. GreyBeard is the stud of all studs in that region. It feels like everything flows through him, the energy, the excitement, their spirit, everything flows through GreyBeard. And he is the biggest advocate of those guys being able to be a part of everything and grow. And he doesn't want to see it become other people's region, right? Like he really believes that they have players and people who are passionate about the game enough, and he wants to find a common ground there. And I don't know if that means they'll have to then also change the rules everywhere else. Can you have special rules for one region, right? So that kind of gets tough. And maybe it's what we just talked about. Maybe it's people have to live there. But at the end of the day, it seems like a really cheesy way, in my opinion, to try and get to the top, right? Taking the easy route, or
Right.
what people seem to be the easy route. But then at the other side of me is like, it's a competition. You're gonna have to face that competition one way or another, right? Like it's a weird teeter-totter here. But I tend to feel for GreyBeard and that region, because they've been working really hard over there to get where they are, and to have some people come in and try to take it away from them seemingly is it just doesn't seem right.
No, it doesn't. It kind of feels like it goes away from what this is supposed to be, which is you gave them a spot, a chance. You want it to grow. It's the same thing with OCE, right? Like nobody was just sniping OCE from where they were playing. Like if you wanted to play an OCE, you had to go there. And it only helped that region. We've seen so many good players come out of there, and it has taken a couple of years, right? But they have in recent time been a lot more competitive than they were before. So I don't understand why you wouldn't want the same to happen for a quote unquote minor region, which nobody seems to like to use that term anymore. But I would say that they are a minor region compared to NA, EU, and even South America.
Yeah,
So
it's just there's more than two sides of this coin. It feels like you can go back and forth and sideways with this argument, because this is kind of what they asked for. But then also now you use the word, when you said that, the word EU players flooding in, like it's like, wow, why? Stay where you are and get good there, right? But the competition's so high there, and there's only so many spots. You can just see so many different angles here, and it's actually good that people are talking about it. But I hope it errs on the side of allowing that region to continue to grow and become what they believe it can be. Like that's all I hope for. I don't know what the answer is, but I can see there's lots of different versions of how this can go.
4, 5, 6. I'm taking a quick look at the top 16 for their upcoming Open Qualifier 5, and I'm just looking at it. I see 5 teams that have 2 or 3 players with the African flag next to them. So out of a top 16, you only got 6 of the teams. The other 10 are not of that region. So it's definitely a little swayed. I don't know what the right word would be for that, but it's not going in native SSA players' advantage right now. So hopefully they listen to him. They take into account what he has to say. I don't think he has said anything wrong in the past or hasn't been spot on. So all we can hope is that they actually do, listen to him and make some changes going forward. But I'm guessing it won't be this season because we're already into the second half of the season. So it'll have to be whatever comes next season.
It's certainly a slow moving ship when it comes to turning the wheel here. It's not a speedboat. right? Like these things take time to
Mhm.
resolve, and people have to make decisions and all kinds of things. So I don't foresee anything being done quickly. It would be nice, but yeah, it's going to be a long road for those guys, even longer probably than they've already been dealing with. So I feel for them. Shout out to GreyBeard though, man. What a great guy. And I really hope that he can keep fighting the good fight for his region.
Yep, all the support goes to GreyBeard right now. In other news, kind of I would consider it a little more juicy than anything else. You were watching Rizzo's stream yesterday, so it would have been Sunday.
Don't tell people that I watch other Rocket League streamers.
Well, I mean, we all do. It's okay.
I know. I do like Rizzo.
Rizzo he's a great content creator. He's a great person. But you caught a clip of him. Yeah, I got to try, right? Like, hopefully one day he'll talk to me. But you got a clip of him talking about the reasons that certain orgs came back to RLCS, notably Cloud9, the Sidemen. Those orgs are back. They weren't back for a while. And we'll go ahead and play that clip right now.
I saw an A-Shot stream where he said he wants to join Rocket League, but he needs franchising, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw that a while ago, too. A lot of the orgs wanted franchising. And to be fair, C9 and TSM wanted franchising as well, but then they were paid for the Esports World Cup or whatever, so now they're back. So there's always a circumstance that can bring them back or bring them to Rocket League.
So as you heard there, Rizzo talking about Nadeshot not joining RLCS because there's no franchising. Orgs wanted franchising. We all knew that is why Cloud9 had left. And now all of a sudden Cloud9 comes back. But there wasn't any clear reason as to why Cloud9 came back. And it's something that he says in that clip right there of they have, or it's not that clip. There was another one that you had found where they talk about they have Esports World Cup. So EWC money. And you and I have now started looking into this. Like, what did EWC money mean? And what did you find?
Man, I found a lot. It didn't take a long time to do the research, but when you say the words Esports World Cup, you go, wait a second, is that something I should have heard about before? And you start digging into it a little bit, you realize that it's just Gamers 8 rebranded, which was Gamers Without Borders rebranded, which was the Saudi government's, or just Saudi in general, depending on how you look at it, their play into creating this huge, gigantic esports tournament, for lack of a better word, and creating this whole esports like atmosphere. And they want to be the top of it, right? They want to own it. They want to be the go-to in it. And what they did is they're paying organizations who meet a certain criteria. I think there's 30 of them that they've decided on, 6 figures a year in order to meet a certain threshold of viewerships or fan involvement or making of tournaments or whatever, holding them to a standard and then paying them to do those things. So when they see that Rocket League is in that Esports World Cup, I think some of these orgs came back and said, let's get a team in there because we want to be a part of that. We want to make sure that we're getting as many points as we can throughout the whole tournament, because it's a multi-game tournament, all these things. So it's flooding money into esports by giving money to the orgs who are paying the players in these games that are essentially we've been trying to spin our wheels. We've been talking about this for years and how to make them profitable or get the revenue that they need and all of those things. And here's someone willing to throw them a life preserver of sorts and say, come do this, we'll give you money, and there will be more money in it if you continue to do it. And there'll be tournaments for your players and all this stuff. It's a great play for, I don't know yet, right? Like I think that's the biggest thing. Like, who's going to benefit from this the most? Is it the players because they get some money? Is it the orgs because they get to be a part of it and get some money? Or is it Saudi and the prince and the government and all those guys who eventually have this plan to be the center of esports world? So a lot to unpack there.
There's a lot to unpack. So backing it up to where this all started. So I think back in 2018, the Saudi Arabian government established a branch of government dedicated to sporting events known as the General Presidency for Youth Welfare. This organization is responsible for promoting and developing various sporting activities in the country, particularly among young Saudis. The GPYW has introduced programs to encourage the use of sports facilities by the general public, including annual events on the local and national levels. So we've seen this, right? Like this is where Gamers 8 came out of. All of a sudden there was this very big tournament that had a lot of prize pool money put into it, and that pulled in like, oh yeah, I want to go be a part of that. But now, as you kind of uncovered what this has stepped up to, and I kind of liked one of the comments that I saw in this post. Someone said it's franchising with loopholes. So what Rocket League hasn't wanted to introduce, or a lot of other games, this investment firm, because it's not actually this part of it is not part of the Saudi government. Weren't you finding that it's an investment firm, it's something completely separate?
Yeah, it says organizers say the EWC will not be funded by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, but instead be made of a combination of host nations funding and sponsorship deals. So the host nation is always Saudi, but they're not reaching into their public investment fund, the PIF, that we were talking about. So yeah, a lot of things there, but the money is insane too, right? $60 million prize pool this year. I think it was $45 million last year. While
have
other
you not
esports,
seen their cars over there?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like it seems so dead to other places. Where is this? Clubs. While other esport prize purses have shrunk due to well-reported financial struggles felt across the industry, that's the $60 million prize pool for this. We broken down into different categories like player bounties, $50,000 MVP awards for an individual competition, prizes for overall performance, $33 million allocated for the game competitions. It comes after a difficult period in which the industry saw large-scale layoffs, which included game developers and publisher Riot Games letting 11% of its workforce go. Like, it's an industry sinking, and these guys come along and just throw this life preserver made of money at it, and everyone's going to grab it. They have no choice to, right? So that begs the question to me, who's going to benefit? But it's good for now. For now, this seems great for everybody.
Well, right now, who stands to benefit the most? Obviously, we're looking at players, making consistent money, orgs making consistent money, but it's going to be the Saudi government. Because I do want to bring up too, we have seen when Moist was at their top with Joyo, Vatira, and Rise, they elected to not go to Gamers 8 due to political reasons with the Saudi government. So there has been accusations that the Saudi government is using it's the term sports washing. So using sports and entertainment to give them a better look out there to the world. And you can't help but wonder, is there a play in that right now? And do orgs realize what they're getting into? Because I can see right now it's, oh yeah, hey, we're just going there playing in your tournament. But at the end of the day, where the money comes from, you're supporting a lot of other things, right? That have gone on there. I used to be very well versed in what was going on. I'm not like as much now. I think they have tried to modernize a lot, and they're trying to come, more into the current times with culture and things that are acceptable. But is this the wrong play for esports? Is this who they want to be in business with? when I understand there's no one else to be in business with right now because nobody else is putting up this kind of cash because no
Right,
one else
man.
no one else has this kind of cash. They people over there, like the individuals who have a lot of money, they're the headdress. I don't want to get it wrong, but I know like they will get it in like a special designer just because like, oh yeah, I like why not? I can. Or like the cars that end up over there is every fancy sports car you can think of. I think their police cars are like Ferraris. Um
Probably, man. I know that's so. There's again, it's just so much. Like you were talking about sports washing. They had the tennis and soccer. They're hosting these huge, actual, physical, traditional sports competitions to try and do that same thing. But this again, like they're saying, is separate. It almost seems
they're almost trying to create
like
the
a
sports version.
passion project that they really believe in and they think is going to be something, but someone has to step up and really put in the time, effort, and money to make it something. But on the other side, you go, what is their real motivation, right? You know, how can we trust these guys, right? Like nothing is free, and it seems like everything is given right now. The orgs get something, the players get something, get. Like eventually, you're gonna have to pay something back. What is it?
Um yeah, who knows? Yeah, someone's going to come calling at some point. There will be something that happens in the world, and I guarantee you orgs will have to make decisions. And you kind of touched on that of a passion project. It makes sense for the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud that it's a passion project. The guy is only 38.
Yeah, he could be a gamer himself.
So I guarantee he is a gamer. What was it? Quoted from a CNN article just this year back on April 16th. Saudi's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman said at the new global sport conference, the Esports World Cup is the natural next step in Saudi Arabia's journey to become the premier global hub for gaming and esports, offering an unmatched esports experience that pushes the boundaries of the industry. So, like, I look at it as they want to, it's almost like the sporting version of Vegas. Like, Vegas is like betting and gambling. Saudi wants to be just the sports version of that. Like, you come actually, because yeah, they had the big soccer match there this year. They hosted two, what teams were that? Um, oh, I can't remember. I want to say it was like Manchester and somebody else. Honestly, I can't remember. But I do remember the match happening, and it was like these two teams are playing in a venue that is not even close to where they usually play, but there was such a big turnout that I was like, oh, okay, there's gravity there. There's people are gravitating towards it. Because even during COVID, the Saudi was the only place that was willing to have UFC matches. That's where they were going to do the island. So like they were opening it up. Like it's there. And they want to build up tourism, have people come through there. What was it? We read that it's basically they're trying to not just be backed by oil. They want to have something else that can bring in money on a regular basis and create jobs for their local populace as well. So it's just, I don't know. I find it, I don't like it kind of catches me off guard of, oh, wait, the only reason that Cloud9's back in Rocket League right now is because they needed a team for the Esports World Cup. And so they had to grab somebody. Because you were there's another clip in there where Rizzo's talking about how there's just orgs aren't interested in coming to Rocket League at all. Like no one's even talking about picking up any teams.
Yeah, for lack of money or whatever. And I'll send you that one too. It's if they didn't get picked up by one of these 30, I sent you an image, clubs that are being supported here that made the cut, Cloud9, TSM being two of them, then no one was coming to pick those guys up.
Yeah, so actually, it's kind of interesting to see that 100 Thieves is in this list, but they're not picking up a Rocket League team. But who knows? Maybe right before the Esports World Cup, they will.
Going back a little bit, just to make one final point to what I was saying, is that there might be something attached to it. I found another article from The Verge. It's never just a pure business investment is the point of this. But he says anywhere that Saudi Arabia is spending any amount of money lately, there are always strings attached. It's never just a pure business investment, says Ben Freeman, who's a director of democratizing foreign policy programs at Quincy Institute for Responsible Statecraft. That's a huge title. He said, it's hard for me to imagine that gaming is any different. At the very least, they're buying silence. And he points to the non-disparagement clause from Live Golf deal, which, if you know what that is, that basically just says that prevents anybody who's a part of it to talk bad about Saudi Arabia, right? And that goes back to the point, they're just buying the fact that they want people to look at them in a good manner. And it may be the way to do that, right? I mean, you give people a bunch of stuff and all they do is not have to talk bad about you, then guess what? You're a good guy at some point.
Oh, it's exactly how you do that. That's what
or maybe you're a pig with lipstick. I don't know. I don't have a real strong opinion without, really digging deep. I know some of the philosophies are really controversial that they have, women's rights and different communities seem to be a little bit different. But this is what the world being so connected looks like. We didn't realize how many differences are out there. The whole world has been coming together for, a couple of decades now with the internet and all that. And now it's to the point where we're all in each other's faces. We got to figure out common ground. And this could be one of those things. I don't know.
I'll kind of end. I'll end with this because you're not wrong. But this thought just came in my head and I just looked it up. And this is something that has been reported that the Saudi Arabian government is exploring. Saudi Arabia has been exploring the possibility of joining the BRICS bloc, a group of emerging economies that aims to promote economic cooperation and counterbalance West dominance. So, this would be the iffy part of this. I fear for any NA team out there because there is I don't know how big of a chance. Like I said, they have interest, but we'll see what happens. This could be something that ends up being a major problem in the next couple of years, depending on what happens. It's baffling to me that we're watching esports all of a sudden be pulled into the political sphere. And I fear right now that the orgs are not thinking that far ahead and are going to end up in a situation that they have no clue how to deal with. So
yeah, I think that's the maybe. This is great. Maybe. This sucks. Maybe. There's a lot of maybes in here. I would tend to lean towards tread carefully, but hard to turn away some of these dollar signs, especially in a struggling industry. So I think you might be right. We definitely want to keep an eye on this.
Yes, this is something we will definitely keep an eye on.
Honestly, though, everything we just said, I think was at least from the things we were able to uncover over the last few days and really seeing how things played out with the Rocket League teams and orgs, was a pretty good breakdown of our thought process and how it could be going. So I'd love to hear other people's opinions on that and how they feel this looks, or if we're really close to the general consensus, because I haven't really heard a lot minus what we just said.
I would say for the population of Rocket League, this is nowhere close on their radar. I don't think it's a subject that just basing off the average age of a Rocket League viewer, it's not even in the ballpark for them. So I can see why this is overlooked and no one's really taking a hard look at it right now. But yeah, we'll see what happens going forward. Please, yes, share your comments. Do you think that we are way off on this? Do you agree, or do you just feel indifferent? But that's gonna do it for us. This is the Bucket and Hoosier Show. We appreciate you listening on podcast platforms, on YouTube, on X, and we appreciate the support. Bucket, before we go, you got anything?
No, man, great show. I think we're going to keep doing it this way, keep it short and sweet, and go over some really poignant points and not have to kind of make stuff up as we go along, unless we have one of our great guests come on. So we're going to continue to get guests on, but stick around for some really good ideas and thought processes and things like that for when we don't, because we're ever growing and we're ever following this thing, and we want to make sure that we give you guys content that you care about. So also share with us your thoughts on what's going on or how you feel, and that gives us more ideas to put out there and have conversations with people.
100%. You all have a good one. We'll catch you next time. Goodbye.